All rise for Judge Amy. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Judge Amy. I'm your judge, Amy. You know, I say this every time I do this series. I never thought I would make a series talking about court cases, specifically for, obscure shit. I'm not the kind of person who's gonna talk about, court cases that everyone knows and stuff. So, yeah, thanks for liking the Judge Amy series. Today's case is very interesting. You know, we have a lot of medical dramas here in the streaming world and the cable world and all that stuff. And when it comes to old medical shows, we want them to get brought back. It applies to a lot of shows. We want the shows to come back to finish stories that were left unfinished. That doesn't apply to General Hospital. That shit's been going on forever. So long that Mickey Dolenz and his daughter both starred in episodes. I mean, I don't know how long, but Mickey played a psychiatrist, I think, which, what makes him qualified? I don't know. As you could tell from the title of this video and the thumbnail, we're talking about ER and another show. A new show that aired on Max on January 9th of this year. This show is called The Pitt. Now, if some of you have never seen ER or watched ER, this court case will be very confusing to you, which is why I will be explaining things before we get into the lawsuit. ER is an American medical drama television series created by Michael Crichton that aired on NBC from September 19th, 1994 to April 2nd of 2009. So for once, my birth didn't end the show, because I wasn't born in 2009, I was born in 2004. So I was like, I hate doing math, so we're not going to calculate how old I was when the show ended, okay? We're going to get back to this. The show had a total of 331 episodes spanning 15 seasons. They almost beat Grey's Anatomy and Law & Order. God bless them. Anyways, it was produced by Constant C Productions and Amblin Television in association with Warner Brothers Television. ER follows the inner life of the emergency room of Cook County General Hospital, a fictionalized version of the real Cook County Hospital in Chicago, and the various critical professional, ethical, and personal issues faced by the department's physicians, nurses, and staff. The show is the second longest-running primetime medical drama in American television history, behind Grey's Anatomy. To really scale that to you, Grey's Anatomy started in 2005. ER was still going. They were not done yet. ER was still going. They ended in 2009, mind you. Grey's Anatomy was just getting ahead in 2005, but ER was still going. Anyways, let's get back to the juicy stuff. ER won 128 industry awards from 442 nominations, including the Peabody in 1995, TCA Award for Program of the Year in 1995 as well, and also the Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Drama Series in 1996. As of 2014, ER has grossed over $3 billion in television revenue. It's considered one of the best medical dramas of all time, pioneering the field of medical fiction and setting a model for other contemporary medical dramas to follow, like Grey's Anatomy and any other doctor show that's on right now, like Chicago Med or New Amsterdam or other stuff. So, with all that information about ER out of the way, let's move on to the other show, The Pitt. It's new, so there's kind of limited information about it, except for the lawsuit, but hey, settle down in the courtroom, guys. We'll get into that soon. The Pitt is an American medical drama television series created by R. Scott Gemmell that premiered on Max on January 9th of this year. Each episode of the season covers 1 hour of a single 15-hour emergency department shift at the fictional Pittsburgh Drama Medical Hospital. I don't know why I said drama. I'm sorry. It's supposed to say trauma. I don't know why it said drama. We should get that fixed. Right off the bat, my dear viewers, you might realize something. I didn't say anything about, how are these connected? Why, why is there, a lawsuit over this? Well, if you look at evidence A, you will notice something about the casting. Noah Wilde is in the show. Noah Wilde plays a doctor named Dr. Michael Rabinovich, but we call him Dr. Robbie. You might notice, dear viewer, if you've watched ER, that Noah Wilde played Carter in ER. You know, not really the same thing, or is it? Ladies and gentlemen of the courtroom and the computers in the room as well, this court case has been ongoing since August. You see, this lawsuit was filed by Sherry Crichton, you know, the widow of the writer of ER, you know, Michael. Her claim is that the Pitt is ostensibly an ER reboot, or rather a copycat, and thus she and his heirs are owed money for the new Max series. As her lawsuit said, the Pitt is ER. It's not like ER. It's not kind of ER. It's not sort of ER. It is ER. With the exact same executive producer, writer, star, production company, studio, and network as the planned ER reboot. Rather than afford Crichton the created by credit he deserved, defendants would pretend their reboot was not his creation at all, thereby enriching themselves to the tune of millions of dollars, potentially hundreds of millions, or serving several $billion in success, and depriving Crichton's heirs of their rightful share. According to Sherry, she was contacted back in 2020 by former ER showrunner and executive producer John Wells, who informed her that an ER reboot was happening. She asserted the frozen rights clause of her late husband's estate, meaning that she and the estate had to approve any sort of ER revival or anything involving ER, signing off on the final concept. At the time, though, she was allegedly told that she was told her late husband would receive credit for the revival. The development of the show evolved, however, as negotiations with the estate fell apart. The erstwhile reboot for ER was scrapped, and Noah Wilde, John Wells, and former writer and producer R. Scott Gemmell had to rework the idea. The result was The Pitt, for which the late Michael, the guy, received no credit. That's what it says in my notes. Thus, Sherry's argument in the lawsuit is that the new medical drama is still so close to ER that Michael should have been received any credit on any financial compensation owed to his estate from the show. At the time that the lawsuit was filed, Warner Brothers released a brief statement denying the validity of the claim. They said, and according to my notes, they said, and I quote, "The lawsuit filed by the Crichton estate is baseless." I apologize if I'm saying the last name wrong. I'm not a very good judge, but I am good at saying what's right and wrong. Anyways, the lawsuit filed is baseless, as The Pitt is new and an original show. Any suggestion otherwise is false, and Warner Bros. Television intends to vigorously defend against these meritless claims. In early November, Warner Bros. Went a step further and filed a motion to dismiss the lawsuit, claiming that the suit from Sherry and the state was baseless. The studio's counter-argument is that the lawsuit goes too far in its demands. As the redacted filing says, the ER is a complete, not the ER. The Pitt is a completely different show from ER. Plaintiff cannot use Mr. Crichton's ER contract as a speech-stifling weapon to prevent defendants from ever making a show about emergency medicine. Warner Brothers' argument is that Pitt is a wholly different show from ER. After its overhaul and the complete reworking of the idea, the only DNA that the Pitt shares with ER, aside from some of the creative team, is that they're both medical dramas. The motion to dismiss argues that a person or a state cannot lay a claim to an entire genre, so the lawsuit is a vast overreach. The Pitt is not a derivative work of ER, and it would be absurd to interpret the ER agreement as prohibiting Warner Bros. Television from ever again making a medical drama about an emergency medicine, and Noah Wilde, who was not even a party to the agreement from ever starring in one, without Mr. Crichton's consent. Interestingly enough, Warner Brothers' motion to dismiss cited an earlier example of another ER star, George Clooney, to support its case. I know what you're thinking. Why? Well, regarding the original lawsuit using Noah Wilde's involvement as an example of being an ER copy, the filed motion pointed to the fact that prior to breaking on ER, George Clooney starred in the other ER that I mentioned in my previous video. So, it was dismissed when they filed that motion or whatever. They decided to dismiss the thing. But Sherry had more to say. She released a statement through her spokesperson, and the statement, the statement said, "The defendant's motion is a transparent attempt to dodge discovery and prevent the true facts from coming out. That the defendants filed their meritless motion on the anniversary of Michael Crichton's death is emblematic of the studio's callousness and utter disregard for Critten's legacy. Warner Bros. Negotiated with the estate for nearly a year, knowing it could not proceed with its ER reboot without the estate's permission. When those discussions failed, Warner Bros. Slapped a new name on the series, changed the location, and proceeded anyway in clear violation of Critten's contract. The defendant's last-minute attempt to rebrand the ER reboot as The Pitt is not fooling anyone. The estate looks forward to presenting its case to a jury and is confident it will prevail.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
And that is where the lawsuit currently sits. It's unclear whether the judge will grant Warner Brothers' motion to dismiss or if Sherry's lawsuit will proceed. Still, it hasn't obviously stopped The Pitt from being released, as the first 2 episodes were released in January 9th, and each episode gets released every Thursday, meaning an episode released literally yesterday. As it stands, that is the planned episode rollout schedule for The Pitt, coming out every Thursday, and it does not seem that it will change or the lawsuit will affect the show's airing. But we're not done with this video, because there's a lot more to actually say, and that's the differences between ER and The Pitt. You see, while Sherry may have had a fair argument for her lawsuit early in the process, looking at the finished product, it's hard to argue that The Pitt is a carbon copy of ER. I mean, yeah, they're both medical dramas that star Noah Wilde, albeit he's not John Carter, he's just he's Dr. Robbie, okay? I'm not pronouncing that whole last name. And yes, there's the same creative team behind it as well, but that's it. That's all the similarities between it, because The Pitt seemingly carved out its own identity and concept distinct from its predecessor in the medical drama genre. You may remember the series 24. Well, The Pitt has the same sort of unique format to it like 24, because each episode of the series follows 1 hour in a single ER shift of Noah Wilde's Dr. Michael Robbie Rabinovich. The result is an intense, immersive experience as the audience is caught up and moved at the same pace as the doctors, and as they receive the treatment and treat patients in real time. Adding to that intensity is the fact that with it being a streaming service, The Pitt has free reign to get gorier and more realistic than ER ever could. ER was airing on, I think, TV, like literal TV. I don't think they could get away with that stuff. But, you know, it remains to be seen if the judge will agree it's enough to drop the lawsuit. And now you're probably wondering, well, Amy, this is your series, you're Judge Amy, what do you think about the lawsuit? Well, let me tell you. I have watched the first 15 minutes of The Pitt, and it is a little bit more gorier than ER, I'll give it to that. In fact, when I was going to watch ER, I got an ad for The Pitt, and I was like, oh, fuck it, fine, I'll watch it. It's not that bad, it's pretty good. I don't see any way we can compare it to ER, because, again, they're in a different state, it's different characters, it's way more advanced. I've never seen ER like that before in my life. Noah Wilde is playing a completely different character. This is not John Carter, guys. This is Michael Robbie Rabinovich, or whatever. But I can understand why people would say, oh, it's a reboot. It's not. It was supposed to be like a revival, but they couldn't go through with that, so they had to completely retool the whole show, and it's not even the same thing anymore. So, for that reason, I'm gonna have to say that they're not guilty of copying. Case dismissed. Thank you all for watching the video. I'd actually like to know your thoughts about this whole lawsuit thing. Do you agree with Sherry, or do you agree with Warner Brothers? Is The Pitt and reboot like a reboot version of ER, or like what's going on with that? Because I personally don't agree with saying The Pitt is just like ER, because in a sense, well, yeah, it's a medical drama show that takes place in an ER. And they have the same creative team, and they have the same main guy. It's not the same show. It's like 2 completely different things. But thank you for watching the video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And court is adjourned.